I'm sure you've noticed how pro Valorant matches can be absolutely breathtaking. It's only natural when the most talented players go head to head. But one player who's in the spotlight this year, showing off some of the craziest plays and mechanics, is Sentinel's superstar, Zekken. It's easy to see what makes a player like Zekken great when you watch him in action. But what are some of the smaller differences in his play that sets him apart from others and allows him to hit rank 1 multiple times in a row? Hey guys, it's Konpeki, and today I'll be breaking down 4 subtle things that Zekken does that often go unnoticed, which you can start incorporating into your own ranked games for a competitive edge. But if video guides aren't enough and you need more personalized help, my team of Radiant and VCT coaches can help you rank up 500 RR in just 10 weeks, guaranteed, or your money back inside the Immortal Roadmap program. Don't believe me? Check out these players who hit Radiant after being stuck in Immortal for multiple episodes. Over the last 4 years, we've fine-tuned our coaching program to help players consistently break through their plateaus, and we've continued to add the best coaches to our team, such as Milan, who recently got signed to Fnatic as their assistant coach for the upcoming season. So if you're serious about improving in Valorant and want to learn from the best of the best, message me the word Zekken on Discord using the link in the description to see if we'd be a good fit. A term you'll often hear thrown around in ranked games is win conditions. This refers to when a player focuses on creating specific scenarios that increase their chances of winning the round. These scenarios usually happen later in the round, such as when you're planning to use your agent's abilities to secure victory. It's a pretty simple concept, and even if you haven't heard of the term before, you've likely followed this thought process subconsciously. For example, you might have timed out a diffuser with a lineup or a Brimstone's ultimate. Pro players like Zekken often break the game down into these win conditions. It simplifies the game and gives both the player and their team clear goals and things to focus on. While many win conditions are obvious, like the examples mentioned earlier, some are more subtle, but no matter what the situation is, Zekken always seems to understand the win condition. Let's look at some examples. In this crucial knockout match in Valorant Champions, Sentinels lead against Fnatic 6-4 and are looking to extend their momentum. Hens and Zelsis opt for an aggressive, arguably unnecessary play that doesn't go their way, leaving Zekken and Saucy in a 2v2 situation. However, Zekken stays patient, sticking to his plan to secure a post-plant win. His win condition here is a showstopper, and instead of using it for the kill, he uses it as a threat to burn down time first and foremost with the spike ticking away. This inevitably leads them to a checkmate scenario and a Sentinels round win. While this win condition had more nuance, even pros rely on the simpler ones. Take this round against FPX for example. Instead of chasing after the guys in main in the 4v2 retake, Zekken goes for the smart play by sticking the spike with a smoke defuse. Even though he gets hit, he knows that he has high HP, and if he doesn't defuse, who will? Defusing is often the role no one wants since it means missing out on the action. However, it's a straightforward and often overlooked win condition when your team doesn't need more firepower when pushing. The key takeaway here is the discipline Zekken showed by staying alive and focusing on securing the round. Whether it's using his agent's utility effectively or doing the job no one else wants to do, Zekken consistently puts himself in winning situations. These situations are common, especially in ranked environments. So if you can be the player who stays consistent and plays to the win conditions, you should find yourself converting more situations as well. Next, let's dive into a subtle but important aspect of Zekken's playstyle, specifically related to the Duelist role. If you've played ranked games, you've probably heard someone complain about the Duelist not entering first. After all, isn't that what Duelists are for? While this is generally true, there's actually a lot more nuance to it, especially when you consider different playstyles and scenarios. As you can imagine, it's unrealistic to expect a Duelist to engage first in every single round. In fact, in pro play, this Duelist goes first rule isn't as set in stone as you might think. Different teams have different strategies, or what we call protocols.
Nice. Oh my god, that is huge.
Let's take Leviathan's star Duelist, Aspas, for example. If we look at his first engagement stats, based on his first kill and death numbers, you'll notice something surprising. It's relatively low. In a series against G2, he only took 3 first fights, the lowest on his team. While this is an extreme example, it's not uncommon to find that in other series that they've played in, X, who who's a Sentinel, often has more first engagements than Aspas. On the flip side, when we examine Zekken's stats, it's rare to find a series where he doesn't lead his team in first engagements. It's important to note here that neither Zekken's approach nor Aspas's is wrong, and stats never tell the full story. But let's break down the strengths of Zekken's entry style and what you can learn from it. Take Sen versus Genji at Champions on Lotus as an example. Zekken consistently takes the lead when it comes to taking space. Whether it's at the start of the round or during a mid-round regroup to re-hit a site, Zekken is always the first to go in, setting the execution tempo for his team. But why is this so crucial? We've all had ranked games where the team just sits at a choke point ready to execute, though nothing happens. But by letting the Duelist set the tempo, you can fix this issue as your team always knows when to follow suit. You can see this in how Sentinels play around Zekken. His consistency in going first ensures his teammates can always follow up, which always creates tradable situations. When he takes the first fight, his teammates are right behind him, increasing the likelihood of winning the engagement and the round. This is a key reason why Zekken often ranks among the top players in his first engagement stats at international tournaments. Of course, if you're playing with randoms, it's not nearly as easy to execute as it might be for Zekken, who has practiced this with the same teammates for hundreds of games. But simply put, as a duelist, setting the pace for your team can make things run much smoother, and should definitely be a goal to think about. In pro teams like Zekken's, constant communication ensures this happens seamlessly. So even in ranked games, it can actually be really beneficial to take on the IGL role as a duelist. Sure, you can go pretty far by no calming and just headshotting opponents on Jet, but eventually you're gonna have to learn how to ask your controllers and initiators for the right pieces of utility to make your plays work. Ask your Sova for a drone and a dart. Tell your smokes when and where you need your smokes to be placed. That way, you not only won't get stuck in main with everyone looking at each other wondering what's next, but you'll actually be able to organize a really effective play or execute that is harder to counter for your opponents. You'll have more success on your entries, your teammates will have an easier time trading it out, and your opponents will be forced to organize utility and crossfires themselves in order to have a fighting chance. And that brings me to my next point. Let's talk about something Zekken does that almost no one notices, because it usually happens after he's already dead. Typically, when you're out of the round, your impact is over. But that's not quite true for Zekken. We'll take a look at Sentinels Uncensored to explain. In a match against FPX with a score at 12-5, Sentinels find themselves in a tense post-plant situation, eager to close out the game. Post-plants are chaotic because there's so much utility being thrown around that it can be hard to focus on anything, let alone make clear comps. And this is where Zekken steps in. Even though he's dead, he's able to help his team by providing vital information in a clear and calm manner. Since he can see all his teammates' point of view, he can process everything happening in real time and relay important information. In this clip, you can hear him making simple but effective calls about the enemy's utility and the movements of his teammates. But Zekken doesn't stop there. He also has access to the utility his team has left, which allows him to give specific instructions, almost like an in-game leader.
Can we open door, boys?
Wait, we don't have to. We can spam. We don't have to.
Okay, I'm holding.
We can volley and spam. Tyson, smoke right, smoke right.
While players still alive are focused on their own fight, Zekken can take a broader view and suggest the best play. In this case, his calm call to use a molly and spam the bomb helps Sentinels mentally reset, group together, and secure the round. Now, in ranked games, backseat gaming is often a pet peeve, but with a positive tone and clear communication, offering small suggestions or useful info can actually help your team win more rounds in the long run. I do really need to stress here, though, that tone is important. The way Zekken communicates is extremely calm and relaxing.
I'm gonna clear close left and I think we just go.
You could almost start an ASMR channel if he wanted to, but if he made these same calls in an overly stressed or anxious manner, it could result in the opposite effect, and it would only make the situation more chaotic. If you want to give good mid-round calls and want other people to listen to you, make sure you communicate in a positive and calm manner, because if you only stress your teammates out, that won't help anyone. And I think the importance of that is also shown really well through this clip.
Okay, so Jimmy aces. Nice. Jordan goes, did you just get spammed? And in my head, we're up 11-2. And if I say that we just my bad, I feel like that's like bad for the mental. If it's like, oh yeah, we made a mistake and he aced. So I was just like, nah, I mean, just spam two of us. So I just lied.
Keeping a positive mindset is crucial, and we've seen it time and time again. If you've ever made a silly mistake but think your teammates didn't notice, maybe take a page out of Zekken's book, brush it off, keep the mood light, and move on to the next round. It might just save your team from tilting. Now, for our final subtle reason behind Zekken's success, let me ask you this. When was the last time you saw Zekken pull off a jaw-dropping play like an ace or a crazy highlight? If you're struggling to think of one compared to players like Kong or Tens, don't worry, you're not alone. And that actually leads me to my next point. Zekken isn't the flashiest player out there. I know that might sound surprising, but here's something interesting. Zekken's first ace of 2024 didn't happen until late into the year when he debuted his Neon on Sunset against DRX at Champions. That was after playing 27 series as a duelist, one of Valorant's most aggressive roles, before securing an ace. And let me be clear, that's not because he has bad stats. Actually, quite the opposite. The truth is that when you watch Zekken play, it's clear he sticks to the fundamentals. He works with his team, creates space, gets those crucial entry kills, and plays the post plant perfectly. It's rare to see him overextend or make risky solo plays, probably because if it doesn't work out, his coach will have a word or two. On the flip side, Zekken also doesn't find himself in many clutch situations because his role often puts him in the line of fire early on. By keeping his gameplay simple, his decision making becomes clearer and more effective. And if Zekken can thrive at the pro level by sticking to the basics, then you can definitely find success in your ranked games by keeping things simple and making solid decisions. Now that you know the 4 secrets to Zekken's success, you can start applying these skills to your own game and get one step closer to that rank up. If there's another player you'd like us to break down, drop their name in the comments and we'll make a video on them next. Thanks for watching.